Alright guys, well today's video did not go as planned. My intent was to throw a jig all day, try and catch some bigger fish, talk a little bit about jig fishing, and I didn't catch a single fish on the jig. I wasted a lot of time. I eventually just turned to those schooling fish. They've moved. They weren't where they were before, but they're still in a school. So I found those guys, caught on some fish, and had a good old time. So this video is not going to have a storyline or anything of the sorts. I'm just going to include any tips or tricks that I may have mentioned on my time on the water. I'll include the fish catches. And if anything, this is something I can look back at and see during this time where the fish had moved to, what they were doing, and just use it as a resource for the next year to document what I've done, what I found, what works, what doesn't. With all that being said, I'll go ahead and roll the footage. Alright guys, we are out here today, Hickory Log Reservoir again. I'm going to try chasing a little bit bigger bite, bigger fish. I'm not an expert at this by any means, but I'm throwing a Dirty Jigs 5/8 ounce pitching jig with a Rage Menace by Strike King, and I'm targeting basically where I've been finding a lot of fish, but I'm trying to focus more towards structure. See if there's bigger fish there. Main lake points, for the most part, around structure is what I'm going to be targeting with this. See if I can draw a bigger bite. See if I can find some of these bigger fish. So let's keep on. Let's do it. The water is really clear, which is why I've gone with pretty much green pumpkin color, natural color. So I am throwing this on a heavy, extra fast action rod. This is a 7/6. But you can kind of see there's not a lot of bend to it. It's very sensitive. I can feel pretty much everything on the bottom. If I get bit, I can feel it well. I've got the power to hook set if I'm around cover. Got a 17-pound fluorocarbon leader. I need heavier, and with 55-pound braid as mainline. But this is what I got right now, so we're working with it. So basically all I'm doing is I'm casting, flipping by this tree right now, keeping my rod at a 45-degree angle, trying to keep a little tension on there. Just picking up my jig and letting it sink back down. So as I pick it up, it drags forward, and I can feel what I'm dragging over. And then once the line goes slack, I pick it up. So this way, if with the tension on that line, if a fish hits that jig, I'll feel it instantly, and we'll set the hook. Another thing, I'm trying to flip this as close to cover as possible. Anywhere that I think a bass might be able to hang out to ambush its prey, that is your target. This water is super clear, so again, these bass they can see from a long way. I mean, there's a big tree. I don't need to throw it right in the middle for them to see my jig. I'm sure they can see it from wherever they are right now. Alright, so I picked this point behind me in particular to throw a jig because it stands out from every other point I've seen because it's got rock on it up top. So I'm willing to bet there's rock down below as well. So what I'm going to do, the same thing I've been doing, just cast this up at the bank, start dragging it slowly. I'm pretty sure there's some trees down here. I've marked this area before. But let's see if we can draw a bigger bite. So here's a little tip that I use when I'm trying to catch suspended fish. What I do is I usually let out about 5 to 6 foot of line, and then I will drop it. I'll drop my tip down right to the surface of the water and count Mississippis until the slack is taken out of my line. And then I know roughly how many feet every Mississippi. So this one in particular, this jig, we got 1 Mississippi, 2. So by the time I say 2, it's already at about 6 feet. So I know this is, it's sinking probably about 3-4 feet per Mississippi per second. So you can use that as a gauge as well. If you're not sure, if you don't have a depth finder, you don't know how deep it is, count down for your lure and then cast it until it sinks to the bottom, and you'll know roughly how deep you are. Alright, I don't know if I'm just in the wrong place today. They are not biting the jig. When you do get a jig bite, there's usually 2 kinds. There's the you're holding and you feel a thump, and then the other one is you don't feel anything. It just kind of feels heavy. So you want to make sure they get the jig in their mouth before you set the hook. Usually if they thump it hard, you don't have too much time to set the hook. But if you can't, if you're lifting it and you're not sure if they're there, set the hook, or give it a minute. You might see your line swimming, moving, and then you know, obviously, your jig's not alive. So, all right, I just went trolling around. I saw a bunch of bait fish blowing up here. So I don't know if they're pushing into the coves now that it's a little colder. There's no sun. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, they're, oh my gosh, come on. Blowing up right behind me. Well, at least I think now we're in the right area. Let's see if we can catch a big fish now. I'm gonna change it up to a presentation I haven't used in a long time, a chatterbait. I think I can get close to cover with that, and I can also catch some of these schooling bass. Trying to get a mix of fish instead of going for these big fish that don't seem to be biting a jig today. So let me tie one on. Well, like I mentioned, I hadn't thrown a chatterbait in a while. My preferred one had a super rusted hook. So I got a sexy shad with a Kitech. Oh my gosh, I've never seen something like this. Of course, they were just destroying the surface there. But yeah, let's do this. This color combo would have been awesome, but look at this super rusted hook. All right, let's get on those fish. Whoa, there we go. First one for the day on the chatterbait. He ate it pretty good too. Check it out. I'd be surprised if this was a pound even, but 1.02. Let's let him go. I said I wouldn't do this, but I'm tired of not catching fish. Back to back. Oh, this one's decent. Tension there. Yeah, man, look at that. It's a little chunker. Definitely a 2. Huh. 2.12. Let it go. There you go. Amazing what a bait change does. There's a lot of commotion deep down at the bottom. 30 feet. This guy just smacked that. was trying to slow roll it, but I think they just want it fast. Plus that Kitech I put, I think it's like a 4-inch, and it doesn't really give a good action slow, at least not with this chatterbait. Alright, we got a 1.32. Let's let it go. Alright, I'm gonna fish in here on the structure and stuff before I decide to come back to this point and just keep catching these. Just gonna beat the bank. I'll let it sink down a little bit first. So let's see how long does this take to sink. About 6 feet. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippis. So full 2 Mississippis to go about 6 feet. The feeding frenzy going on over there is absurd. I hope these bass are just coming out of the water for it. I hope I can capture it when we go back. So something I'm noticing about this chatterbait in particular, this is the original chatterbait by Z-Man, is that this head doesn't start swiveling as soon as you pick it up. At least not every time. Which kind of stinks, because if you're trying to get that reaction strike you want to get that reaction, you want this thing to start vibrating right away. But if it happens after you're already a foot or two out of the strike zone, then it's not going to make a difference. So that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, obviously it catches fish. Yanked the tail. Yeah, I had lost the action. Well, this skirt came off too, and it's fixable, but it's not hand tied, that's for sure. I'll call it. I'm gonna catch a fish on this cast. Little guy. Dang, this is another skinny one. What is, some of these fish are, I mean, this isn't as skinny as that other one, but it's not healthy. I'm just gonna let this sink, and then I'll pick it up off the bottom and reel it in at that same speed that I've been going at. Spinnerbait would also probably work. Right off the bottom. Ah, he let go. Came off. Look at them. Just this whole bank. Ah, jeez, man. They keep short striking it. 2 fish on that cast. I feel like I had forgotten about the chatterbait. Super diverse. I mean, it's not weedless, but it gets through cover well. It has a good action. You can let it sink to the bottom. A lot like a spinnerbait. I love a spinnerbait. It's just a shame that this one in particular doesn't vibrate right off the bottom. There we go. That's another decent one. 1.5 even, 1.5. Try and show the fish off a little more. Let them dive right back in. Here we go, another. I like these. These are putting up fight today. I'm also catching slightly better fish. Dang, check this out. This is another 2. Hooked right on the roof of the mouth. Nice belly. That bait is all the way in there. Let's try again. .86, same both times. Here you go. I was hoping for 2, but it's a nice fish. Oh, here you go. So now I don't know if the choice of bait is producing these slightly better fish, or there's just a better school in general. They're out there in the open. Just cast out there and let it sink. You saw that? But this is awesome. Here we go. Feels about average for the group. Alright, we're going deep next. I'm not even going to weigh this guy. We'll catch bigger. This particular crankbait is a natural, really natural color. It's a medium runner. It runs about 12 feet. I bought this in Japan. It's made by Osprey, OSP. It's a Blitz EX-DR, a deep runner. So I guess deep for them is 12 feet. But I catch a lot on this guy. Small, but has a good presentation, a good wobble. You guys see me fish it a lot, but I don't usually mention it because I don't know if you can buy this in the States. You might be able to buy it online somewhere, I'm sure. So this may be too deep for these feeding bass. Like I mentioned before, a lot of times I get hits on the pause. Whether I stop just to pull it and stop and reel again. There's a bunch of different ways you can fish a crank. You can slow roll it. That's the easiest, but if you add a little diversity to your presentation, basically think of it like this. You got a bass following your lure. He stops, and the bass just has a reaction to strike. Or a lot of times he'll stop and he'll watch and wait, but once he takes off again, he'll just go for it. He may feel like he's about to miss an opportunity. It's interesting, we've definitely hit some active fish, and they have not gone for the crankbait. And it seems like when these fish come to feed, they're definitely pushing up this bank. Holy cow. So they're not interested in the square bill either. So I don't do this on all my rods, but I don't know if you can see that. It's a little snap, a duo snap or a snap ring. I usually put on my crankbait rods, and we'll switch out between different depths, colors, and stuff. Alright, we haven't caught anything in a while. We're switching right back to the chatterbait, see if it produces a bite instantly or has the bite died down. Well, the fish are still here. They just stopped blowing up. So I guess I'll call it a day. Came out here trying to go out for the big fish and it just didn't happen. The slow bite was not on. Well, I hope you enjoyed that footage. I should be coming out with some new content in new areas soon. I plan to fish different bodies of water here in the North Georgia area. If there's a body of water that you think I should check out, please let me know. I'd be happy to. The Etowah River is something that I plan to do more come this spring and summer. And I got a couple series that I've come up with to record in the spring as well. So, with all that being said, there'll be more to come. If you like what you saw and you want to see more in the future, please subscribe. And thanks for the view. Take care. Peace.